Hey guys, Brian Castro here with Better Chess Training, and today we're going to try something a little different. One of our subscribers suggested we try a series called Climbing the Ladder, where I play lower rated players of different classes and discuss my thoughts and uh, my thought process during the game. So we're going to try it today. If you guys enjoy it, I will continue with the series, and let's check out the game. Okay, here I have a game against someone rated 1288. And in order to make this interesting, I'm going to play an opening system I haven't played in a while, just a normal E4 and E4 here. And we're going to try to understand what we should be thinking. And not that I always play the best moves, but we're going to try to work on our thought process while we're playing opponents in this range. Okay, and here he's kind of non-committal. He looks like he's going to develop this bishop out this way. Um, in any case, probably a decent move would be to. He could also come out here with a check, which isn't a big deal. Is I'm just going to play my knight to f3. Seems pretty logical. So in the opening, we're just making sure we're developing. We're not doing anything crazy at this moment. Okay, he's attacking this pawn, so we have to defend it. We could do something with the knight or with the bishop. I kind of like the bishop move here because I might want to play c4 at some point to take more of the center since he is not doing so. Plus, I can castle. So I'm going to do that next. Our time control here is 25 minutes with a 12-second increment. So this it will add 12 seconds every time that I do this. Okay, he is adding another attacker here, so I need to defend this somehow. A few ways I can do this. I can play knight to c3, of course. I can play knight b to d2. That would block this bishop in. Um, I can also play queen to e2. So whenever you're coming up with these plans, you want to have different ideas and see which one's the best. So in this particular case, I'm thinking this bishop I might want to develop along here. So that kind of I don't want to block it with d2. Again, I was thinking maybe I might want to push this c pawn, so knight to c3. I don't think it would be bad, but not something I necessarily want to do right away. And so that would leave queen to e2, which I think is a fine move, especially it lines it up with the king for future reference here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Just want to make sure it's safe. If I play my queen to e2, he can try to capture, but I'll capture first with the bishop. So this is a safe move. Um, Particularly in this case, playing someone lower rated, I want to not necessarily try to blow them off the board right away, but I want to make sure that my moves are logical and safe. Okay, so here he's pushing out here with c5, and it's threatening this pawn. Now, this pawn is adequately defended, so I don't necessarily need to defend it again, um, but let's look at our options. I don't want to take because it will help him to develop his bishop here. I could just go ahead and castle and get my king to safety. I could also play a move like c3 to defend it again. So if he takes, I can take back and also have two central pawns. I'm not too worried about that though because I don't mind opening up this d file for maybe a rook later. See what else. Um, C4 isn't really a threat at this moment. If he were to play something like E5, though, then I would have to consider it and maybe just play queen to C3. So another idea, instead of castling right away, I might want to get my bishop out here and threaten this pin, or in some way get it out. So my candidates here are bishop to G5, bishop to E3, and castling at this moment. So if I castle and he takes, I take back with the knight, then he can get his bishop out. So that's one thing there. Um, that looks okay for me though. Bishop to G5 looks okay. If he plays H6, for example, I could just back it up. Um, and that also has the threat of E5, which would be unpleasant. So he would have to play something like bishop to E7. And then I could actually take here if I wanted to. So that's kind of attractive. Bishop to e3 threatens to take again, but not. Well, actually, bishop to e3 is not as good because it actually blocks this queen from looking at this. So I can't play bishop to e3. Okay? So this is part of the process when you're evaluating these moves. So bishop to g5 or castling. I actually like bishop to g5. I think that's because I can always castle. There's no real threats against my king at the moment. But I think castling would have been fine as well. So if you like this series where I play lower rated players and discuss the moves, this was suggested by one of the subscribers to do kind of a climbing up the ladder series, then I would like this video. If I see, let's say, 5 or 6 likes, I'll know that enough people are watching it to keep going on this track. Okay, he does play h6, so I have to decide whether or not I'm going to allow him. See, because if I back it up to h4, he could play g5, and then I can play here. I think that's okay as well. Bishop to f4 is the other option, with the idea that if he pushes me again, I could even play something like bishop to e5, for example, or I could just go back to g5. So there's a little more flexibility, but this maintains the pin here. So let's just go with that. We're going to maintain the pin, and we're still threatening e5. So unless he puts his bishop here on e7, then that is the threat. Now, we have to be careful here with this g5 because now if I do castle on this side, he's got already these pawns attacking. However, this probably means it will be more difficult for him to castle the other way. The other thing, too, is if he plays g5, I play bishop to g3, he could actually play g4 here, which would then threaten my knight. And then my knight would have to move, and then he can win this. Not really too worried about that, honestly, because then he allows me to come back here and okay, he's going to play g5. So I actually have to consider what I want to do here. One option would actually be the sacrifice. I'm not going to do that, guys, though, because that's a little too crazy. Okay, bishop to g3. This move I could think about pretty quickly because I've decided I don't want to sacrifice. Now, he could play g4, like I said. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a great move. It does win a pawn. So I should have seen that a little earlier, considered it. But on the other hand, I could bring my bishop back out here, for example. There's a lot of options. Okay, here, not exactly sure what he's doing here. Well, right now he's going to lose a piece because I'm going to take here with my bishop. So this is what we were talking about. Maybe he made a little error. Let me just make sure there's no shenanigans here. I'm going to take here. He can take here, and I take with my queen. And again, there's no real tactics where he's going to be able to win my queen, I don't think. I can't even attack it. I could attack it with a pawn or something like that, but not really worried about that because I could just back it up. Okay, I take here with e4, or bishop takes e4. So now I'm up material, and maybe he forgot that my queen was protecting the bishop. And so this is something that if you are, well, this is interesting. So I'm going to take here, and I'm actually attacking this rook. I think I have to take back. And he might play something, if he plays d5 or f5. So, okay, there's d5. Actually, I was thinking he was going to try to trap my bishop here, but then I would probably just sacrifice it for 2 pawns. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to move it over to d3 here because I'm not worried about him playing c4. But it does, well, I could either do e3 because I want to keep this protected in case he does play g4 now that my queen is up here. Actually, I could just play queen to e5 and then shoot in an attack here, but then he could play f6. Well, he can't play f6 yet. So that actually is kind of interesting too. However, then you can see this bishop is starting to lose some squares to the queen. Let's take a look at that. Queen to e5. And then threatening his rook. he has to move his rook. I just want to see if there's any type of follow-up here. Um, and then if I wanted to, I could actually look at taking here, or just getting my king castled, which is actually probably the safest move. You know what? Queen e5 looks okay attacking this rook, but the rook actually might be better on g8, pushing here with this pawn. So I'm actually going to back it up. Now I just have to decide between d3 and e3, and um, I don't think it matters too much. Um, but actually, let's see here. If I put it on e3, is there any advantage to that over d3? Well, it does keep an eye here, so he can't play f6. So let's keep it on e3. Just to repeat, putting it on e3 so that he cannot move this f pawn to try to trap my queen or trap my bishop because his e6 pawn would be hanging. So one thing you'll notice here is that he's playing fairly quickly. Okay, he's playing a bishop to uh, g7, attacking this pawn here. Couple things I can do. I can actually play bishop to e5 and threaten it, but then he could play f6. So don't necessarily like that. I can play c3, and then if he takes, I'll still have a pawn in the center. However, it will be an isolated pawn, meaning his other pawns will not be able to help it. Um, I can't take, just note, I cannot take on c5 because b2 is not covered. So I think c3 might be nice because then even if I take back with the knight, this diagonal will be blocked up a little bit. Okay? So we're going to do c3, and then I do want a castle. Um, actually, can I castle right now? I probably can. Um, excuse me. I have plenty of time on the clock, so I don't need to worry about that too much. Um, I'm taking a little more time because I'm talking. So c3 or castling or something else. Maybe I can develop my knight. Because right now, if he takes, then you know what? Actually, just c3 seems like the better move because if let's say I castle and then he takes here, I think I have to play c3 because he still has g4 right here. So, for example, if I castle, he plays g4, and then after I move the knight, although I could move it to e5, after I move the knight, then he can, let's say I moved it to d2, then he can capture on d4. Let's do c3, reinforcing the d4 pawn. Now, mind you, he is actually down a piece right now. So, a piece for a pawn. So, right now, looking pretty good here. Some of you might be thinking I might want to play a move like bishop takes, um, b8 to simplify. Um, this bishop's doing okay right now, so I don't necessarily want to do that. I might try something though, like bishop to e5, threatening this bishop, and then if he plays f6, then I can take because now, well, now I can't, but because now there's a threat over there. So here he plays knight to c6. He's putting a little more pressure here on d4. What I could do, though, which I'm not sure if you saw this, I can actually play d takes c5. And then after he takes back, I can take back with the queen. Now I just have to make sure there's no tactics. If you play something like, let's say, rook to c8, then I can just actually could put him in a little check here, or I could play queen to b5, or I could even just retreat my queen. So it looks like I'm winning a pawn here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. You always want to make sure that that's what the case is. You always want to check, for example, I should make sure there's no checks. There are no checks that he can do. Actually, he could do bishop takes c3 check, but I can take that back. So there's nothing he can really do right there to stymie my plan. So I'm going to win another pawn here. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you, especially if you are in this rating range. You can see how important it is to be careful and to understand your tactics, because if you can do that, you'll have a big advantage over your opponents because they'll make moves like they did with the knight takes um, e4, and that's a very simple counting error. You know, he should calculate next. So if you can develop those habits, then you'll find yourself moving up in the ratings. So this is actually the lowest rated player that I could find that would play me. Maybe next time I'll look for someone in the 1400 to 1600 range, but I'll maybe look for someone else. So it's not going to necessarily be in order. But again, I want to make sure you guys are enjoying this. So I want to see at least 5 likes on this video, and then I'll make the next one in this series. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, guys? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the moves I'm making. And again, I hope this is a helpful exercise for you. And actually, I'm kind of enjoying it a bit myself. Okay, let's see here. Um, oh, yeah, I didn't even notice my opponent resigned. Actually, let's just do a little bit of analysis real quick here. You can see here if he takes, then I'm going to just take back here with the queen. Now this knight is hanging, and um, he is in trouble. His can't get the safety. My king is perfectly safe. If he plays something like rook to c8, like I said, there's no real discoveries or anything like that that I have to worry about. I don't even necessarily need to move right away, but if I wanted to, I could just retreat back here, or I could say do something like this. So a lot of options here for me, and probably seeing that, that's why he resigned. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think of this series. If you're new to this channel, Better Chess Training is about helping you become the best chess player that you can become. I believe that chess improvement is a journey, and it's always nice to have fellow travelers. So join us, allow me to join you, and hit that subscribe button. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next video.